insights. I want the bets from Betting Weekly, because we win. That is our motto. Sometimes we win, sometimes we don't win. Don't give us a bird, don't give us your stink eye. We try our best and we're successful. Come watch our show. Bet River sponsors. It's time to start. Enjoy the show.
Welcome in, everyone, to Betting Weekly Live. It is Monday, the 1st of December. A brand new month is upon us. The countdown to Christmas and, of course, to 2026. Delighted to be joined by Lewis Jones on the show today. How's it going, Lewis? Do you have a good weekend?
Yes, very good weekend, Steve. Hello to everyone. Pleasure to be here, as always, on a Monday with you, Steve. Nowhere I'd rather be, I don't think, than on a Monday talking betting with you. The weekend, yeah. Nice mix of my day job, so to speak, is covering the Premier League. I was at the West Ham Liverpool game yesterday. Watched Liverpool put on a thoroughly professional performance. I thought West Ham very timid. I thought, the game was they could have really put Liverpool under the squeeze in the early part of the game. I think, to just try to knock their confidence, but very sort of negative performance from West Ham. Liverpool, once they got the goal, very comfortable. And the Paqueta sending off as well, which was an absolute madness moment, wasn't it? We had lots of wide open mouths in the press box, I think, watching that play out. A really strange sending off, when people, I'm sure, will have their opinions on that. And betting wise as well, a good weekend as well. Ended the month in profit, which is always a good sign, personally, and also on the tipping service that I'm a part of. So, can't complain, Steve. How was you? How was your weekend?
Yeah, I remember those days, the last 2 or 3 days of a month on any tipping service. Really important. If you're close to the mark, you got to be careful with the bets that you put on. I didn't.
Luckily, I was in such a good position. I was just straight batting most of it, Steve. I just had to just block a few deliveries and could play quite safe. But it's the last few days of the month are always quite nervy moments for the PNL.
They are. I wasn't betting much, actually. Probably just as well. I think I would have lost quite a lot if I'd really got stuck in heavily. It was a weekend I never fancied much. A couple of my normal sort of not bankers, but regular hits failed. The late kickoff in Germany yesterday, Mainz, absolute disgrace of a performance. Absolute disgrace, Mainz in Germany yesterday. Was very, very disappointed in them. So that's all I've got to say about that. I've got a fair bit of interest today, actually. Got two units on the table on the Extra Time show on today's matches in Europe, which we'll talk about. Hope everyone had a good weekend. Leslie Mack has got a double there. Now, we are going to be talking about the Turkish League today, Leslie. Not that match, but the big one, Fenerbahce, Galatasaray, will kick things off. Ming Chung says goals in the Watford game. We'll talk about that one as well. Good to see Byron, RHM, who's got several bets there for the day. Loads of bets, actually. 2 meter WTU is on the corners in the Vallecano game. I totally agree. That's what I'm on as well. Loads of betting suggestions. People getting stuck in straight off the bat here in the first day of the month, Lewis. No question whatsoever. But good to see you all in there. Tristan Wiggle was on the draw in the Leeds game. Wow. Did you place that pre-game? That was so Leeds that everyone was on Man City handicap, as far as I was aware. And it's so Leeds that we scupper everyone's bets and we still lose. That is so Leeds United, isn't it?
They should have seized it when they got 2-2. They retreated, didn't they, Steve? I think in a situation like that where you're not expected to get anything anyway, and you're playing so well in terms of the attacking momentum behind you, keep going. Go search for that winner. Don't just sit back and die a death against that Pep Guardiola machine sometimes. So Fart got so much right, I thought, in that second half. But that just decision not to go for the kill at 2-2, it could come back to bite him, I think. Because if he'd have got, I know he's probably got a bit more in the bank now, maybe, after that performance than he would have done if he just went there and just sacrificed and laid over and lost 5-0 or something. But just felt they could have gone and got maximum points there because they're in such. They had them on the ropes, didn't they? City at one in their last 20 minutes or so. So yeah, really tough one for Leeds.
It was one of the strangest games I've ever seen because at half time it honestly should have been 4-0 City.
Yeah.
It looked like it was going to be a cakewalk, and it was almost as if Farke and maybe the Leeds boys were like, "We've got nothing to lose here, absolutely nothing. We might as well go down absolutely swinging," and we did. And City couldn't handle a formation change. It was really bizarre. I mean, that's the thing with a well-oiled machine, though, isn't it? If there is just suddenly a little bit of a fly in the ointment, so to speak, then they can sometimes struggle. And they needed, the old goalkeeper rest break for the tactical reset.
That has got to be dealt with in football. I think I've seen it for years. I mean, a lot of the streetwise younger managers do it all the time. Kieran McKenna at Ipswich is one of the best. He's been doing it for the last maybe 3 years in terms of instructing the goalkeeper, one of his players, to go down to get a tactical team talk in. And it's spreading like wildfire, this tactic, and it's not good for the flow of the game. We've seen so many breaks anyway with set pieces and long throws coming in. It does break the game up. I don't like it at all. So somehow the authorities need to get across it. But it's a very difficult one to manage because how do you define if a player is injured or a goalkeeper is injured?
It's the goalkeeper, isn't it? They can deal with the outfield players quite well. Emma, let's have a good rule for that. The goalkeeper is much harder to distinguish between. But you're right, they've got to do something about it. No doubt.
He should go off the pitch and a player should go in goal for whilst he's off the pitch.
Fun, wouldn't it?
Yeah,
how fun would that be? That would be a real fun, actually. Yeah, I like that idea. That'd be really intriguing to see.
That would nip it in the bud straight away, Steve. If that came in, nip it in the bud.
Yeah. Get some interesting characters in goal, wouldn't we, as well? But yeah, notable winners and losers over the weekend on the soccer field. Biggest bet actually was a loser, Anderlecht against Royal Union Saint-Gilloise in Belgium. Over 1.5 goals, live bet in the first half. That was a loser. In terms of a big winner, it was the match in Mexico, Cruz Azul against Chivas. 2 plays there worth nearly $50,000 between them. Live on the over 2.5 goals in the first half and over 4.5 match goals, both won. There was a really interesting $25 bet in Germany, Heidenheim moneyline live against Union Berlin at 60-1. Heidenheim scored 2 goals in injury time to win it, to turn around a 1-0 deficit. And that $25 bet won $1,500. I mean, incredible there. And a good one in the NFL, $25 on the Bears to beat the Eagles by 8 to 10 points exactly. That's a 70-1. 1,750 return there. We always have these great success stories from a small bet. So there's loads of different ways to win, so to speak. Notable live streams today: Rayo Vallecano, Valencia in La Liga, Bologna, Cremonese in Serie A, Birmingham City, Watford in the Championship. You can watch both Turkish Super League games on there as well. Arouca, Braga in the Primera Liga, and Brombury against Frederica in the Super League game. Okay, we will start with a match which kicks off in less than an hour. Fenerbahce against Galatasaray in the Turkish Super League. This is as big as it gets, really. It is the biggest game on the card today, in my personal opinion. It's 2 teams that people regularly bet on in the European games. I know it's actually a popular domestic league to bet on as well. But there's going to be a significant amount of interest. One of these 2 sides will win. Well, will likely win the Turkish Super League this season. Trabzonspor are doing well there this year. The lineups are out for this one. Victor Osimhen does start for Galatasaray. He was rumoured to be in contention, and he does get the start there. Between these 2 old and huge rivals, plus 120 Fenerbahce, Galatasaray at plus 215. Lewis, I know I set you loose to have a look at this game today. Tell us your assessment of them. I'm sure you've probably seen quite a bit of both teams this season, actually, more than most years.
Yeah, it's true. Mostly Galatasaray, really. Whenever they play, actually, I always want to have a little look at them because they're always a great watch, aren't they? Really high goal averages in their matches. But I think if you're hoping for a goal fest here in this sort of intercontinental derby, which is one of the spiciest I think you can get in European football, really is. If you can tune in and watch this game, I would definitely set some time aside for it because it is a real spicy, hard-fought, fouls galore, cards galore. It's normally full of incident, but rarely do we get goals, Steve, in this head-to-head in this derby. I mean, there's lots of fire, lots of chaos. lots of hostility. And normally when you think about that, you would think the over goal line must be the play. But I think this is the bet that the recreational money backs is the overs in this game. While the smart money, I think when you look at the head-to-head and this fixture, and especially derby fixtures, is something where I put a lot of weight in the head-to-heads. And looking at the last 20-odd meetings between these two, this is normally a very cagey, attritional match where I think teams are very, very aware of how much this means for the fans. And when you throw in the fact that these two are going for the title as well, sometimes in these games, you play not to lose, because given the momentum of your rivals in the title race, a bit like what we saw with Chelsea and Arsenal to a certain extent on Sunday, a draw. I was quite sweet on the draw actually in that game and the unders, and it did cop, because you could just shake. You could start the game, you're probably shaking hands on the draw. It's absolutely fine. You don't want to have to deal with the noise of losing to one of your rivals. And just looking at the head-to-head data in this match, none of the last 20 meetings between these two have seen 5 or more goals scored. And this is the real killer one. 11 of those 20 have gone under 1.5 goals, Steve. So not under 2.5, under 1.5. So 11 of the last 20 meetings. And even if you're just running the numbers from the last 14 head-to-heads, the total match goals just comes out at 1.79 per 90. So again, this just, I think, just reiterates the fact that we're seeing a lot of sort of safety-first football in this fixture. And I do think, instead of looking at recent form of both teams and trying to work out maybe a goal average from that point of view, I'm happy to put a lot of weight here in the head-to-head record between these two, especially how much is on the line here. So I actually love the price on the unders here. And my way of playing it for an outright play is heading to the Asian total on the goal line here. Under 2.75, minus 120 on offer. I think that's at least, 10, maybe 12% implied probability too big, I think. I'd have the line being closer to sort of under 2.5 at that price. So I think this is a real confident bet to attack, actually, because obviously with the Asian insurance here, we get if under 2.5 goals lands, we cop a full stakes winner. But we've got the security here. We're only losing half our stake if there are 3 goals scored, and we'll only lose the full stake if there are 4 or more goals scored, which has only happened once in the last 14 meetings between the two. So I really like this play. I can't see this game getting out of hand from a goals perspective. Can totally see it being really competitive, really feisty, but not in terms of goal output, I don't think. And I can see it possibly going the same way as the Chelsea-Arsenal game happened on Sunday. Lots of fighting, lots of bite, lot of tackles, lots of cards, but not many goals.
Do you know what? This is one of the rare times that I would take serious note of head-to-head records.
Agreed.
Big derbies, or I don't know, maybe big matches where there's an unusual trend on a head-to-head, because it can get made, because it's all the players hear about in the build-up sometimes if there's a lopsided head-to-head. But I have to say, I think this is quite a balanced head-to-head record. Okay, Galatasaray have only lost 1 of the last 8 between the two sides, but 7 of the last 13 meetings have ended in away wins, which that's interesting, you know, because they're so close to each other. They're not travelling. Home advantage is still important because of the crowd, of course. But in terms of the distance, it's something that helps you out. You mentioned the goals angle there, and I got done up with this yesterday, actually, in the Sevilla against Real Betis match. I mean, for those of you who know, I'm on the overs on Sevilla every week, near enough. You know, I did take over 2.25 goals on the extra time show, but I was on 2.5 and 3.5 overs as well. There was simply too many fouls in the first half for any rhythm. To 17 fouls in the first half of that game. And I think that limits goals more than anything else. I mentioned Getafe before in La Liga. Why do they have so many unders, or did have? Because their foul rate was through the roof. They're stopping nipping in the bud any counter-attack straight away. Just no game flow. And that could happen again here. I mean, this is the candidate for cards. Bet Rivers are not offering a card line or fouls line for that matter, but it will be stop-start. So under 2.75, I can totally see where you're coming from there. There is more money on the over, as you might expect. 85% of the money on the over, 68% of the tickets on the over. Quite a lot of recreational money on that. Fenerbahce have got 77% of the money on the money line. This is also going to be the first part of your daily double, Lewis. You're just going one line higher, aren't you, for the sake of the double, under 3.5.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, no, I think in terms of the second half of the daily double, we're getting a pretty good price there around sort of nearing the even money mark on the Birmingham game. So yeah, this one I could be a little bit more maybe defensive with in terms of just playing the under 3.5 goals line. As I say, it would have copped in a lot of these fixtures head to head, and I just can't see it getting too out of hand. This one from a goals perspective, I think there's just too much on the line. And you make a fantastic point about fouls there as well, and it would be interesting to correlate the amount of fouls in a game alongside the goal line, because there's probably some relation there with the more fouls, the less likely the game is going to produce goals. I'm probably going to go and look into that data, Steve, because I think that's a brilliant point, considering we've had a few examples this weekend of that. As you mentioned, the Sevilla game, also the Arsenal-Chelsea game. Never a chance to get into a flow that game. An awful game to watch in the end, just because it was so bitty and so many cards and so many fouls. So, yeah, we might have stumbled across a nice little angle here for future games if we can correlate the two fouls, the foul lines and the games to be unders as well. But yeah, I really like the prices on unders here. I think the market's too skewed towards the overs just because of maybe the just the nature of the match and people are expecting fireworks. But I don't think so from a goals perspective.
Yeah, this is why for derby games there is an old saying: throw the form book out the window, and this is one of the reasons for it, because it just the dynamics of the game can often change. We do have a Turkish referee. People are asking about referees, of course, and Turkey and referee. I mean, there's been a scandal, obviously, in the last month with all sorts of revelations. We do have a Turkish ref for the game. In the past, this match hasn't always. They've sometimes brought in a ref from a different country. When Jose Mourinho pretty much demanded it. He's no longer there, of course, in charge of Fenerbahce now. Yasin Kol is the referee. I've just looked up his stats. He actually averages 0.71 red cards per game this season.
Here we go.
In the Super League. And several penalties as well have been given. It could be a mess, but sometimes I've seen these sort of games where referees have to be lenient. They have to be lenient early on. Otherwise, it can become, you won't end up with a game, basically.
Well, I've got some numbers here, Steve. 14 of the last 20 derbies, these derbies, have seen 7 or more cards land. So 14 of the last 20 has seen 7 cards land. So this is the type of hostility and likely spice we're talking about here. It's going to be a cards fest, I think. And I think he's a very I don't think he's ref this game before, this referee. So it's going to be interesting to see how he handles it.
He has done Besiktas Galatasaray last year, which is another Istanbul derby, of course. 2 reds in that game and 6 yellows.
There we go. I can see a similar. It's going to be similar, surely. I think.
Yeah.
The more fouls, the more cards, the fewer the goals. Hopefully.
Yeah, it's one of those where you talk about the cards. You can almost guarantee at least 1 or 2 at the end of each half because they're going to argue to the ref. Although, of course, at the end of the match it won't count, but at the end of the first half you'll see someone won't be happy with him and he'll just probably book someone for persistent arguing. It's the way it often goes. Okay, that is the Turkish game. Kicks off in 45 minutes, so we better get on with the second half of the daily double so people can get cracking with it, Lewis.
Yeah.
It is the Championship in England. It's Birmingham against Watford. Birmingham minus 155 favourites. Watford plus 360. Birmingham, of course, well tracked now in the US with the links to Tom Brady and their the Knight Consortium, isn't it? Or along those lines. I think it's called something like that. Anyway, Watford are quite a big dog here. Birmingham are expected to win, and their home form has been tremendous. Lewis, you expect them to get the job done?
Oh, yeah, tremendous. That is an understatement, I think, Steve. Even if you stretch it back to the League One days under Chris Davis, he's been in charge of 30 league games. They've won 24, drawn 5, but lost only 1. So this is the showcases just how strong they are at home. And even the sort of step up to the Championship really hasn't affected their brilliant process at home. Just lost 1 of the last 8 games in the Championship. That was a 3-2 defeat to Hull, where they actually won the XG battle 2.7 to 1.4 and the shot count 29 to 14. So they're very unfortunate based on the metrics to lose that game as well. And I do like reliability when it comes to betting. And I do like betting these type of sort of like machine-like teams that are managed by very sort of process-focused managers that are very cool and calm. And Chris Davis is definitely one of those types of guys. He definitely repeats the process that works. And they sort of remind me of a similar sort of team to sort of maybe like Crystal Palace under Glasner, so reliable usually when they're fit. Arsenal, of course, that very reliable team to back on in certain situations. So they have got that sort of aura about them. And I think it's quite interesting how the markets do price them up in their home matches here, because they're not too far away from what Coventry went off to beat Watford in a similar game. So Coventry, we know, are absolutely flying at the top of the league. They played Watford 6 games ago, and Coventry went off minus 200. And what Birmingham are going off here about minus, where are we going? Minus
155 was the last I looked.
Yeah, not too dissimilar to a price for what Coventry are, really, not too far away. So I don't think the markets have Birmingham that far away from being one of the promotion contenders still this season, based on their metrics, based on their home form. And I think they are 4th favourites to go up in when you're looking at the promoted market. And I think they're sort of around plus 300 in that market, which I'm going to keep an eye on them actually in that market, because it wouldn't be surprised if I get involved with them at some point this season, because I do really like the way they go about it, especially in their home matches. But the angle here isn't to back Birmingham on the money line. It's a way to get Birmingham on side, but in at a much better price. Well, not much better, but slightly better price. But I think this has got a better chance of landing than just the Birmingham to win on the money line. And this is Birmingham to score over 0.5 goals in the first half at minus 137. This is a Birmingham team at home, notorious fast starters. And this is the angle I'm going for here. Ever since Davis has taken over, they've been really, really quick out the gates at St Andrews. Like to put teams under pressure from the off. It's definitely a tactic. So Coventry have only scored more first half goals this season than Birmingham, who have scored 9 in their 8 games. And they've scored the first goal in 7 of 8 home games. So that's the highest strike rate of anyone in the Championship. But what I really like about this bet that's given me a lot of confidence is the actual underlying data behind their first half performances as well. There's just a clear tactic of Birmingham putting teams under pressure from the first whistle, because their expected goals data before the break, so in the first half, is at 1.1 XG per 90 across their 8 home matches this season. That's the highest in the Championship by some margin. No other team, Steve, has got higher than 1 in that metric. And Birmingham are at 1.1 per 90 for underlying process, XG4, in terms of their way they go about it in the final third. So really was interested in looking at getting them on side. And then when you're looking at a sort of bet like this, you want to make sure both sides of the coin are in your favour, I think. And I think we've got a fast starter here with Birmingham, and we've got a very slow starter in Watford. Because if you're backing the opposition to score a first half goal in Watford's last 12 games, you'd have won 10 times. So they've conceded 12 goals in their last 10 first half. So Javi Gracia obviously has come in recently, very pragmatic coach, isn't he? I think he's got a Watford team here whose strengths lie in forward areas, but he's not really worked out how to get the best out of them yet. And I think he's still playing this very sort of passive and safe style of football, especially in first halves. And their metrics and the way the games go, they definitely improve as the game goes on when they have to chase a game. Perfect example of that. Went 2-0 down at Derby a couple of games ago. They came roaring back to win 3-2. And Watford have won the most points from losing positions of any team in the EFL this season. So this shows you they're very slow starters, but they come good towards the end of the game. And that has just put me off slightly the Birmingham moneyline price. But I think they're a really good bet here at the price to score a first half goal. And that's why I'm including them here in the daily double at that price. So I just think there's a very good possibility that Watford are going to be on the back foot, probably will improve as the game go on. And Birmingham, I want to be on them here to get a first half goal like they've done in a high percentage of their games this season. So I think that's just the best way of just eking out a little bit more value. And for the daily double, I want to combine them with that under 3.5 goals line in the Turkish derby. So yeah, I think that's a nice bet, that plus 148 Birmingham over 0.5 first half goals and under 3.5 in the big Turkish match.
Yeah, you've got about 25 minutes to get on that daily double, which is on screen there, which Lewis has just mentioned. If obviously you're watching a bit later or on demand, then there's nothing wrong whatsoever with a single on Birmingham to score in the first half against Watford, or combine it with something else later as well. I mean, this Birmingham home form is incredible recently. It's like bang, 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 isn't it? 4-0 against Portsmouth, 4-0 against Millwall, 4-1 against Norwich. They do come out of the traps very, very quickly. And I was actually going to ask you about Birmingham for the potential futures in the promotion market, which you've answered already. Because, I mean, the way I see it there, you're looking at the likes of Ipswich and Birmingham for the second spot, in my personal opinion, at this stage. Maybe that could be the trio that go up eventually, including the playoffs: Coventry, Birmingham, Ipswich Town.
Yeah, I wouldn't have much faith in Ipswich at the moment. Really unreliable this season, which has surprised me and a lot of Ipswich fans and a lot of punters that have been steaming into them, I think, in pre-season to go and sort of deliver on very short prices in the promotion market. They've been very inconsistent. I mean, lost to Oxford, didn't they, on Friday night, which was a real stinger after a run of an all right result. So, yeah, I think there's vulnerabilities about Ipswich, and the markets have them in as the clear second favourite. And this is where my sort of angle on a team coming from out of the pack to really challenge Ipswich at some point. And Birmingham are definitely the ones I think are capable. Their home form and their home process is absolutely superb. And they've got money to spend, I'd assume, as well in January, Steve, if they're there or thereabouts. So you've got to factor that into the price. I'm not sure that is at the moment. So, yeah, as January becomes a little bit closer, if Birmingham are still going okay at home and putting in good performances, I may pull the trigger on a plus money play for them to be promoted. But I just want to see them maybe put a run, maybe improve their away form slightly as well. You probably need to pick up more points per game than they're getting at the moment in order to sustain a promotion challenge. But, yeah, they're a team I like. And, yeah, I will be keeping a close eye on their prices as we move forward.
91% of the money is on Birmingham, 85% of the tickets are on Birmingham. There's more money on the under here. 62% of the money is on the under, which surprises me because of the amount of goals that have simply hit in Birmingham home games. Tribal God says you can never get Watford right. They're on my blacklist. I mean, they have certainly improved since Javi Gracia has come in, and he's quite a cool character, really, at this level. He's actually the sort of manager I could imagine, saying, do not worry if we are half-time behind. We can come back and win.
Didn't realise he was Nigerian, Steve. Interesting.
That was maybe... I remember he did okay at Leeds. He actually had a good start at Leeds, and then was one random game where we got murdered by Palace, and we were never the same again.
No, I think it's quite a smart appointment, actually. Yeah, I do like the appointment, and as I mentioned, I don't think he's really worked out where the strengths lie. They've got a lot of good forward, young, exciting attacking forward players that maybe just need to be unleashed in a league where there's not much of that type of player and not much quality in terms of forward players. So if you put the strengths and just allow them to be a little bit more unleashed, I think there might be a really exciting team lurking. But he's a very pragmatic manager, really, and he is a safety first, and that's what's got him to where he's got in his career. So I can totally see why he's going to continue down that road for the time being. And it wouldn't be surprising here if Birmingham take a lead and Watford improve in the second half and potentially nick a result. That's why I just didn't want to get involved on the money line with Birmingham. Just wanted to take that out of the equation, just concentrate on their first half performances, really.
Okay, well, we'll move on to two more matches today. We've got Serie A and La Liga action. We'll start with this one in Serie A, Bologna against Cremonese, and the home side here minus $2 favourites. Cremonese knocking on the door of 6-1, and for me, it's just night and day in terms of the form between the two teams right now. Bologna is going under the radar, really, playing some excellent stuff, both domestically and in Europe. Cremonese started well, new promotion bounce, so to speak, got very, very lucky with some matches, no doubt about it. But now they're starting to lose games. And this happens a lot with promoted teams. It is hard to keep it up. So for me, the only real negative for Bologna is that they played on Thursday night. We saw a lot of teams playing on Thursday struggle over the weekend, it must be said. For example, that Strasbourg Palace game wasn't any good for both of them, was it? But the extra day to prepare, I think, is important. You'd much rather play on a Monday night after Thursday. Bologna -1 Asian handicap. I gave that out on extra time this week. I'm very happy with it again. They're not a team I bet on that often, I must say. But I think it's a good time to be against Cremonese here, the newly promoted side who have struggled. You've also got an angle on this game, I do believe, Lewis.
Yes, it's a very, very different angle to you in terms of what markets we're playing here. Very niche market I'm looking to in here. Well, niche for a lot of people, not for me. It's a market which I play in regularly, and this is the fouls market, Steve. And I was glad to see Bet Rivers have priced this up so we can get stuck into fouls-based bet here, because Bologna are a team that play a very foul-heavy game. They rank third for total match fouls this season in Serie A, so it was already an angle which I was aware of and looking to exploit it here. And I was absolutely delighted to find this bet, Steve. So we're going to go with Lewis Ferguson over a 1.5 fouls committed, so to make 2 or more fouls, plus 104. I think that's a very, very tasty price looking at the data. And the zinger piece of the zinger line, or the zinger piece of information to concentrate on here is to showcase why this is such a big price. So since the start of last season, Ferguson has averaged 2.42 fouls per 90. So this bet would have landed in 18 of his last 24 starts. So when you're looking at implied probability here, we're looking at sort of 75% strike rate for this 2 or more fouls line here. So when you transfer that around to implied probability and odds, looking at sort of minus 300 we should be getting, but we're getting odds against, and it's coming in at 49% implied probability. So this is a huge edge to exploit here, I think. Nearly a 25% difference from what the true odds should be. And I was thinking maybe the price is affected by Cremonese, maybe not having the players that are going to draw the fouls in central midfield, but absolutely not. They also scream that this game should be very foul heavy in that central area where Ferguson is going to be sort of patrolling. So you've got the likes of Warren Bondo, Martin Piero, and Xavi Van der Pute, who are all likely to play in a 3-man midfield. And between them, they're drawing. So to be fouled, being fouled, 5.7 fouls per 90 this season between them. And Ferguson's going to be up against this trio here. So he's going to be tempted into very combative play, I think. And if he's going to go along with his averages, which is, as I mentioned here, 2.42 over a big sample size, I think he should be hitting this line quite comfortably. And I think it's a really nice bet, actually. And even if the price does move, Steve, I know these markets can be quite volatile, can't they? But even if this price moved, I think all the way down to maybe minus 200, it'd still be backable. So this is how much of an edge we've got here, I think. So we're getting plus 104. I would encourage people to snap that up if they can. I think there's big value to be had, and I would be backing it all the way down to a very shorter price than that. So really good angle. Ferguson to make over 1.5 fouls.
Mindy Pereira says, is the price still there on Ferguson? It has been snapped up while we're live on air. Literally right now. Minus 134 now. On over
That's
1.5.
still okay. That's still okay.
Still very, very good. Yeah. He's minus 835 for one foul. Minus 835 for one foul, by the way, or more in the game. And Bologna, by the way, actually they rank third in the most fouled category too. And it's interesting to note that only 2 teams in home matches this season have averaged fewer goals per game overall as the match goals. So again, does that tie into when there's a lot of fouls going on?
Yeah, here we go, Steve.
Do the goals go down a little bit?
It's really interesting. I'm definitely going to be looking at this week and try and run some long-term data about this, because I think this is a really interesting correlation we might have stumbled across here. So I'll report back next time we're on.
Incidentally, Verona are the fewest fouled side in Serie A, averaging just 8.1 fouls against per game. Those guys need to get more street savvy. I'm sorry, 8.1. Get down. Go down, man. You know?
Especially in the Italian league as well. Come on, guys. Play the game.
Yeah, that's ridiculously low. I do like Bologna in minus 1 Asian handicap. I think the 2-0 score is the most likely outcome in this game. 1-0 can't be ruled out either. They are the sort of team that get ahead. They should be good value to stay ahead in the fixture. Win to 0 as well could be of interest to several out there. 94% of the money is on Bologna, and 95% of the tickets are on Bologna as well. 91% of the money is on the over, which is interesting there. I mean, it's not like Bologna haven't had overs, by the way, this season, and they are playing a newly promoted side. So sometimes the dynamics can be a little bit different. We finish off with a match in La Liga today. Rayo Vallecano against Valencia. And Rayo, another team who, of course, were in action on Thursday, so they'll be delighted to be playing Monday. They're plus money. Bit surprised to get them plus money here. They're plus 104 now. They have been backed in slightly whilst we've been live on air in Valencia, nearly a 3-1 shot. The tie's plus 215. Plus money for over 2.5 goals as well, plus 118. I do like my corners here. I always bet on Rayo Vallecano corners. Someone earlier in the show on the chat was mentioning the ladder for corners, and I think this is the sort of game for it. Valencia will concede quite a lot of corners in these type of fixtures usually. Carlos Corberan doesn't mind soaking up pressure from time to time, and this is the sort of game I do think Rayo will put them under a lot of pressure. Will they convert their chances, though? Rayo Vallecano, that is the issue with them. They don't always have that conversion rate. Plus money on Rayo, Lewis, is music to your ears, though.
Yeah, I think it's a really nice price. I mean, you priced up here at plus 110, weren't they, on the money line? I saw. I know it's been trimmed in a little bit, but I think finding some really good bets here tonight. I think it's a card lacking in sort of a depth of games, but I think there's some really good angles to exploit here, and I really like Rayo Vallecano here. It's just their home form, Steve. I'm such a sucker for their home form, and that is what the basis of why they're capable of sort of overachieving on their budget, and where their budget should be. I mean, they've been playing in Europe this year, aren't they? Which shows how well they've done. Such a modest sort of financial power they have, and so the fact they're managing to sort of come up against and challenge the likes of Real Madrid at home and Barcelona in these games, in these home matches, is really such a great story. And I think there's something special about Vallecano as a football club. Actually, they've got so much personality and sort of a Spanish community feel about it. I really like what they do as a football club, and their home ground, absolute fortress, isn't it? The Estadio, the Vallecas, yeah. I've never been there. It's on my list to go in Madrid. Actually, I really want to get down there for a home game over the next few years if I can, when I'm next in Madrid, because it just looks like a real special atmosphere. It's very small, tight ground, isn't it? That produces such vibrancy, really. And they've lost just one of their last 12 games there, including drawing 0-0 with Real Madrid last time out in their last home game. Even the underlying data in that match suggested they created a better quality of chances. They only lost one game in the last 12, and that was against Sevilla, but they're very unfortunate again, based on the underlying data. Won the XG battle that day, 1.9 to 0.4. So it's a very strong team at home. And just look at running their XG supremacy figures from the last 35 home games since Inigo Perez took over. And they're working at a plus 0.38 XG supremacy per 90. So that metric is when you minus expected goals against from expected goals for. It's quite a, I'd say it's one of the best ways to sort of rate a team over a longer period. And anything above 0 usually shows a sign that this is a very capable team with a really good process. So the fact that Vallecano's at home is plus 0.38 per 90 is really impressive when they're considering they're playing the likes of Real Madrid, Barcelona, Atletico Madrid. It's some really tough fixtures in there, and it just obviously points to a huge home advantage in their matches. And I'm not sure that gets factored into the market enough still, especially in this spot here. Maybe it's because, as you mentioned, they played on Thursday, so maybe the market has taken a bit of a downturn on them, thinking the examples you mentioned of Palace and Strasbourg over the weekend, not backing it up. I mean, Strasbourg was a real shock that they lost to Brest. They had to sort of look twice at that result. So I think this is a good spot because Valencia aren't a side that really have impressed at all this season. I mean, their XG supremacy is minus 0.35 for this season, and they just don't score any goals, Steve, do they? They've scored 4 in their last 7, haven't won away from home in their last 8 matches across the 2 campaigns. So I'm really surprised we're getting an odds against price on the money line here, and definitely backable territory here. And I want to get a bit of insurance on my side, though. So I do want to get involved in the Asian handicap. Vallecano minus 0.25 on the Asian line, minus 134 was the last price I saw. So we only lose half our stakes if it ends a draw, but we cop a copper full winner if they win the game. I suppose that is me playing it a little bit safe, but I wouldn't be against actually just backing them on the outright on the money line. But it's not a league which I'm completely confident backing in myself. I don't follow it as in depthly as a lot of people, and this is just me coming at it from my research perspective. So I do want insurance on my side. Not quite confident enough to take the money line, but if you do fancy Vallecano, I think the money line is just fine at odds against. And if it does drift maybe plus 115 or something like that, I might get involved myself as well. But just quite happy to take them on the Asian line here, just with a bit of insurance to get back if the game ends a draw. But yeah, no, I really like them tonight, Steve. Would you agree? Can you put me off? Am I talking nonsense?
Well, Peter Chalkins might be the one there that would put certain people off. Izzy Palajon is suspended. Just looked here, and he is a bit of a club legend. Often gets involved with goals and assists. But look, I'm not the biggest expert with the players in La Liga either. So it's one of those where I tell you who is an expert though, and that is Rory Barlow. And I've got a feeling, I can't guarantee this, but if you follow the Because We Win Instagram account, Rory Barlow may well be there tonight. And he often does some coverage outside the ground. You might even be watching it, actually, this one. And he will give you the latest team news and his thoughts on the game. That is well worth following, is the Because We Win Instagram. But this might be one of those where team news is overrated a bit. I've said before, how many times have I said before? It might have been to you, Lewis, where you make a decision on one player and you think, and at the end of the game, you think, why the hell did I do that? Because it was just, I changed the odds too much. Valencia are not that good. And the main reason, it's not the manager is good. It's just that the players are not very good. This is a side that have been in, well, what's the word? A slump for years. They're not well run off the pitch. They struggle for goals, and the most likely score, even without, perhaps an important player, would be 1-0. That's the scoreline that reeks out to me. 7 of the last 8 meetings have gone under 2.5 goals. This is the sort of game I could see Rayo knocking on the door for a long, long time and then finally breaking through. Probably getting a lot of corners on the way because they shoot a lot. They put a lot of crosses in. Valencia will happily nod it behind and back themselves to defend these corners. I am on over 9.5 corners in the game, and the ladder is out to 11.5. That's at -132, +120, and +180 respectively. This has been a good tactic for me all season with Rayo. This is the sort of game where, I think the corners come in naturally. They're the favourite, but they're not playing like a Real Madrid or someone. By the way, they've held Real Madrid and Barcelona at home this season. Played very, very well. This manager is someone to look out for. This is the new Iraola.
They've done it again, haven't they? By the sounds of it with this guy,
100%. This guy will not be the Rayo manager this time next season, I don't believe. But you'll probably have another strong campaign. Might even win the Conference League. You never know. Okay, 88% of the money's on Rayo Vallecano, 73% of the money's on the over in the game. 5 of Rayo's last 7 La Liga home matches have resulted in a draw, stat there from producer Troy. And that's why you do need the quarter ball insurance or draw no bet insurance on the fixture. As a reminder for people, also you can sign up to the Betting Weekly newsletter for free. That will be in your inbox today, within the next hour or two, I would imagine. Nigel Seeley's got an exclusive video on that newsletter. I've got a Premier League pick for the midweek round, and Jack Wright's got a championship play for the midweek round as well. And before we finish, I must touch on it, Lewis. This is the Premier League card. We've got the Premier League show coming out in 20 minutes, by the way. This is the midweek slate. We've got Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday fixtures in the Premier League. I think it's one of the hardest looking cards of the season, actually. There's not an awful lot that does strike me up there, but there's some great storylines. Can certain teams hit back after disappointing results? You mentioned you're at the London Stadium yesterday. West Ham United, disappointing there against Liverpool. Liverpool, much more professional. Will they get the job done against newly promoted Sunderland? Whereas West Ham go to Manchester United. I know you're going to be having a deep delve later on the card, but is there anything that strikes you as a couple of matches to look out for, even just from a neutral's perspective here?
Well, these midweek slates, Steve, they always scare me a little bit from a betting perspective because I do think it does throw up some funny results. Teams, this is a very, very hectic schedule for a lot of these teams, especially the ones that are in Europe at the moment. So there's bound to be changes. Key players are going to be rested. Team news is extra important. I know we mentioned sometimes it can be overrated, but I think this week, especially, betting late as you can is going to be the order of the day. As I say, you mentioned here, I'm getting stuck into the research tonight for my predictions column. So having a good look tonight. Anything that stands out, I would just be trying to see if we can get any of these big dogs at minus money beaten. I think that's probably the way to do it. And maybe you only need one to get beat to cop a return. The likes, I'm just looking at the prices here. Man City away at Fulham, that looks trappy to me. That could be a problem. Arsenal, Brentford, potentially as well. I mean, if Saliba and Gabriel are still out, they conceded from a set piece, didn't they, Arsenal, at the weekend? Brentford, very, very good from set pieces. If they can get up the pitch, they could cause some problems there. You've got Chelsea away at Leeds. Can they back up after such a relentless schedule? Barcelona. And then Arsenal at the weekend. Caicedo's going to be missing. Leeds under the lights at Ellen Road. Very, very difficult team to beat sometimes. So, yeah, my early advice for here would just be tread very, very carefully with some of these favourites and bet as late as you can when the teams are released, because I think the prices are going to be affected really late, I think, in these spots. So, bet late and be brave, I would say. And if you think one of the short prices are vulnerable, then don't be afraid to have a swing at a big price in the shit direction, I think.
Yeah, I think I'm with you. Bet late here actually is a good idea because the lineups are going to be crucial. We've got a lot of potential fatigue factors to come in. The teams with the most squad depth can benefit here, but also if you're changing a lot of players, obviously that's not great for rhythm either. There will be a midweek show. we could on the Daily Show as well. I've got Jack Wright tomorrow. I know Will White's on Thursday with Dan, and Wednesday I can't remember who I've got on the show, but there will be. We'll be discussing all the Premier League games in maybe different angles that the guys have done on the Premier League show. The Leeds match, I'm not actually touching that at this point in time. I would normally, at the moment, I would be just betting against Leeds, but we got to remember with that fixture, Leeds and Chelsea have a huge rivalry. Absolutely hate each other. The Leeds fans will be right behind the players, whatever here, right until the end. It's not the sort of game where you're booing if you go 1-0 down. It's Chelsea.
I think it's a good game for Leeds, this, I think it's a good game to get that sort of underdog mentality back at Ellen Road. Night game, bit of momentum. Calvert-Lewin played really well off the bench. He could thrive in this situation. And Chelsea, this is going to... Everyone's saying now after that performance against Arsenal, they're very much in the title race. I'm still not convinced because I think there's an inconsistency about them still. I didn't think they were very good at Burnley, for example, for 45 minutes. Burnley could have scored in that first half. So I think there's definitely opportunities for Leeds to get at them early and try to wobble them. So, I wouldn't be going anywhere near that Chelsea price at the moment, especially without the best midfielder in the league, for my money in Caicedo. So, early thoughts would say, the Leeds look could be a play on some sort of handicap line.
Byron's going to have a bite on Leeds, double chance. Mindy, why do Leeds and Chelsea hate each other? Well, everyone hates Leeds, but from a competitive rivalry in the 1970s is probably the best way to describe it, Mindy, amongst other things as well. It's going to be an interesting game. Lewis, thanks so much for your thoughts today, as always. We're going to remind people of that daily double. If you're not on it already, 15 minutes till kickoff in the Galatasaray game.
Be quick, 15 minutes to get on for that Galatasaray Fenerbahce game.
Under 3.5 goals in that, and then Watford, Birmingham first half goal, over 0.5 first half goals, plus 148 that comes into. Aside from that, best bet on the day for you, Lewis, overall?
It's a good question. I like the unders actually in the Turkish game, the under 2.75 line. I think that's a real confident bet where the price is too big based on probably a wrong way of looking at it from a goals perspective. I don't think these derby matches, as we mentioned, it could be lots of fouls, lots of cards, lots of stop-start, and we're gonna investigate, Steve, aren't we? We're going to see if it does affect. If there's a correlation between loads of fouls and no goals. So hopefully this could be the start of a very profitable theory that we've uncovered tonight. And hopefully it cops in this the Turkish game in 15 minutes, which I'm going to try and catch a little bit of if I can before I have to do bed and bath and get stuck into predictions tonight. So it's non-stop. I doubt I'll definitely keeping an eye on the scoreline at least. So hopefully it's a good game.
Some Turkish delight before the evening entertainment goes underway. Thanks to everyone who joined live or on demand. Remember, the Premier League show will drop in 13 minutes' time. Dan, Nigel, Jack. Profitable weekend for them. The Villa game served them well yesterday. And then Betting Weekly Live US edition as well will be coming up at 4 p.m. Eastern time. That's a new start time now for those guys. Monday Night Football will be discussed. Giants at Patriots, -7 on the spread for the Patriots and under 46.5 points. Just some quick betting splits before we finish. It's really close in the spread. 51% of the money on the Patriots there. On the money line, 83% of the money's on the Pats and 64% of the money's on the under in the over-under 46.5 line. But Mike Carver and Doug Kazarian, they will be talking about that match in detail later with the best bets. Biggest bet on the game so far is Giants plus 3.5, 10 grand. Plus 175. But best of luck whatever you're taking. I'll be back tomorrow with Jack Wright. Lewis will see you next time. And I'll personally see you on Friday. So looking forward to that. Take care, y'all. And see you next time on Betting Weekly Live. Goodbye.